Hello again, welcome back to Truth Be Known. Well, we're back in Genesis chapter 1. We've already looked at the creation story, or most of it, as it's reflected in verses 1 through 19. We've looked at how God has flexed his muscles and he's put the planetary systems in motion and he's given everything purpose, and how what he's done with the earth so far is he's given the grass of the fields and the trees, and he's got all that stuff, and he's setting the table for his crowning creation, which is man, which is we're going to be reading about shortly. And how he's made the earth, he's filled it with sustainable resources. So let's pick it up in verse 20, and we'll read down through the end of the chapter, and we'll try to get through chapter 1 tonight. So with that, verse 20, Genesis chapter 1, it says, "And God said, Let the waters bring forth abundantly moving creatures that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales and every living creature that moves, with which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth." 23. "And the evening and the morning were the fifth day." So here we are entering the sixth day of creation. Verse 24, "And God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle, creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so." Verse 25, "And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creeps upon the earth after its kind. And God saw that it was good." And let's stop right there. That was verse 25. Let's just stop right there and recap a little bit. So we're seeing a pattern here, that everything that God has made so far is being made after its kind. Now, what does that mean to you and me? Well, what it means to me is that nothing evolved. It's made after its kind, and it's still made after its kind. Amen. You don't have to worry about, something creeping up out of the ocean and becoming something different, because that's not the way it's explained here. So that's the way we understand it. And it's funny, when I read these verses, I think of all the elements of design in God's creation, especially verses 19 and 20, when it talks about the birds of the air and the whales. And I think of those things. I think of the migratory birds, how they can fly thousands of miles across this planet and not get lost. It's like they've got this built-in GPS, almost like they knew what they were doing, right? And then the whales are traveling down from Alaska, and they're traveling down through across the California coast. We see it every year. Everything has a purpose in God's creation. So that's just really neat to see stuff like that happening. And of course, the cattle and everything that God knew that was going to be used in sustaining his creation is also being put forth. So let's continue reading now in verse 26. Here's the crown of his creation. That's us. Verse 26, "And God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." Stop right there. You notice he says he's given man dominion over it. And why is that? Well, because we didn't evolve from anything. We are the crown of his creation. And you notice that we've never been conquered by the animals. I know that's funny to say it, because we have dominion over them. That's why we never have to fear an animal. It's because we're highly intelligent beings. We're not evolved from apes. I'm sorry to tell you. Well, I'm not sorry, but I'm just giving you the truth. Be known. So you can take that to the bank as well. So we know that God has placed us, and he's given us dominion over the creeping things and all the animals. So let's go to verse 27. I'm sorry, verse 28, and it says, "And God blessed them, and God said to them," man and women, it says, "Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every creeping living thing that moves upon the earth." Okay, so there's our dominion. We're ruling over that, and we still are to this day. In verse 29, it said, "And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which it is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat." You know, whenever I crack open a lemon or an orange or something with anything with a seed in it, you know, it just makes that verse that much more real to me. You know, everything's bearing seeds after itself. It's a self-sustaining planet. It's so amazing to me. Okay, let's continue. Verse 30, "And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creeps upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat," and it was so. Verse 31, "And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day." Now, one thing I want to add about the intricacy of man, and we'll leave it with this, is it's so amazing how the Bible talks about how we are fearfully and wonderfully made, the crown of his creation. Watch this. Every human being has a little tiny thing inside them. It's called a heart, and it's about the size of a fist. Now, over a lifetime, that heart that's in everybody, if you live to be 100 years old, your heart has the potential to pump enough blood, okay, to fill a football stadium. And what I mean is every minute it pumps 2 to 3 ounces. But it's so amazing to me that our hearts never stop beating, right? Unless something major happens, we give ourselves a heart attack, you know, by the way, our eating habits or whatever, you know. But with that, if we have a good heart, that it's just the design factor is there. You've got to, it's like having a variable speed pump with inside you. We've got built-in GPS. You can drive somewhere and figure out how to get there again without having to read the directions. Well, at least I can train myself to do that. You've got a brain inside you that that can hold 10 terabytes of information, you know, and you don't have to plug us in every night. We don't have to be recharged. Yeah, we have to sleep a few hours, but you get my point, right? You see more evidence of creation than of evolution every time you look at a human being. So with that, you can take that to the bank. The next time we get together, we're going to be starting in chapter 2 of Genesis, and I hope that what I've said tonight has been encouraging to you. And go, you know, don't be afraid to share your faith about, you know, if somebody's not believing that we all came from a God that created us, then you show them, you know, show them the heavens, show them the sun. You know, they say the sun is 93 million miles from the earth, and why isn't it not 92 million miles? Well, if it were 92 million miles, it'd be too close and we'd all burn up. And if it were 94 million miles, the earth would be too cold and we'd all freeze to death. So, you know, just a little bit of food for thought about the book of Genesis. There's so many nuggets in the first chapter that you can use as a tool to share with your friends that maybe that are not believers. And I hope you have a blessed day, and we'll see you next time on Truth Be Known.